Getting straight to the point, two things can be true at the same time. First, a grown-ass man being overly concerned about what another man is dressing is suspect at the least and homoerotic at the best, especially when it's coming at the expense of you pushing in homophobia. The second thing is, if there is an issue with men wearing dresses, it is not the message that it sends to little black boys. It is the message that it sends to little black girls. Because, you know, I like posing hypotheticals. What does it mean for black men to take on the aesthetics and performances and expressions of black women and being able to get further and get more profits or get more mobility than black women do being black women? See what I'm saying? The second thing that made me think about this, did Dr. Umar Johnson, King Kong of consciousness, the self-proclaimed king of Pan-Africanism or prince of Pan-Africanism, say that if you Negroes don't conform to a European gender standards, then your masculinity is called into question? See, when you start talking about symbols, it don't matter what you feel. The facts is that wearing pants or trousers is a symbol of European colonialism in the Western world. As a matter of fact, are we saying that Mansa Musa, who never is pictured wearing pants, blurred the lines of femininity and masculinity? Are we saying the fierce warriors of the Zulu nation, when they wearing skirts, they are blurring the lines between femininity and masculinity? See, the thing that I believe Dr. Umar Johnson and a lot of individuals do, you universalize the way that white folks say that men and women should dress, and you believe that the way that white folks are able to personify their gender is mass to signify of how you legitimize your gender. And to me, it's just like that's not only is that cap, it creates a dangerous environment for the men that don't give a damn about Hollywood. Hollywood don't give a damn about them, don't give a damn about white men don't give a damn about them, but they are voluntarily wearing dresses and skirts. See, my motto is, if some of us ain't free, then none of us ain't free. And when you use dialogue that creates violent climates for individuals in our community that decide to wear dresses, I think that that's bad. As a matter of fact, a lot of y'all like to take the white supremacist ideas that says that, hey, if you conform to this way of being a man, then your masculinity is good, comprende with me. But if you conform to this way of being with a man, then I'm gonna hold your whole entire idea of manhood, masculinity, and being a man into question, and I might even justify dominating and or, you feel me, putting power over you. Which brings me to another point. White supremacy has enough power. We don't have to give it more power than it has. And these Illuminati talks about dresses and skirts, I agree with Nick Cannon. We got bigger fishes to fry. So using grease on what people are wearing, to me, is just horrible, because we know that the prison industrial complex lock up black men whether you got on pants, skirts, jabots, or basketball shorts. You know what I'm saying? We know that black women, whether you conform to this notion of gender or this notion of femininity, they will lock your ass up. They'll shoot your ass too. So we got bigger fishes to fry. Let's get a little deeper though on this point of what message this sends to black girls, and how I think a lot of y'all is capping when y'all start to sensationalize and center black masculinity and black men berating and making fun of feminine, you know what I'm saying, expressions. This gonna be dedicated to the suckers in the comment section. A lot of y'all think very deeply about shallow shit, and as a result, you drown in your own shallow understanding. What I mean by this is, a lot of y'all think too deeply about these said public shaming kinks that say, hey, if a black man wears something that I think is embarrassing or shaming, then I'm gonna give him X, Y, and Z. To me, it's just, it's not only shallow thinking, it's irrational. When we think about colonialism and how Europeans push particular standards, regardless of how you feel, it is a fact that when Europeans colonized the world, they brought their own ideas of how men should dress and should not dress. It is a fact that when we see individuals, particularly men, fighting against Western colonial powers, they doing it in what we would call America or Western world, skirts and dresses. And if you be purposely obtuse and start trying to be technical and make distinctions between kilts and skirts and, you feel me, what they wear in West Africa or East Africa compared to what we do in America, I think you universalizing Western ideas of how we should dress, and I think that's dangerous. As a matter of fact, not only is it dangerous, it reifies the white gaze that says that if you don't conform to the way that white folks think that you should perform your gender, then this means that not only your gender, but your actual humanity is called into question, oppression, because that's something only a heathen would do. I feel like when we have individuals that say and do a lot of foul, wild shit in the name of being pro-black, we got to be critical about what's being implicated right here, especially if we can acknowledge that throughout Africa and throughout the Americas, the way that men and women dress themselves and express themselves was in complete opposition to the way Europeans believe they should. Whether we talking about the fake Willie Lynch letter, we're gonna get into that in a later video, or we talking about the way that, hey man, y'all wearing pants and you're not wearing pants, this means you ain't being manly enough. Or saying that little boys seeing men that they look up to wearing feminine things sends ideas to them that they'll be feminine. To me, it's almost like you telling on yourself and you saying that if you saw the right man wearing a dress, that you might be convinced to wear a dress too. If it ain't for you, then it ain't for you. Like, that's, if it's not for you, it's not for you. We don't have to say that if you don't do what I'm doing, if you don't perform your gender the way I'm performing my gender, then it don't matter. When Nick Cannon is talking about the structural issues, prison pipeline, or over incarceration, or police brutality, I think he's really making a valid point about distractions. A lot of people get in my comment sections and say the things I talk about don't really matter in the black community, and it's usually from individuals that believe very heavily and deeply in Illuminati, shame, kink experiments, and blood bathements, and blood sacrifices. It's like, do we really need to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons and the Illuminati? Or are there more pressing things in front of us? When Marlon Wayans is talking about being an artist and talking about how people in the black community call into question the continuity of black artists when they want to wear dresses, I think he's making a valid point. Not in like a black people can be our worst enemies type of way, but thinking about how we internalize shit that's anti-us and we weaponize it against each other is something that Marlon Wayans was getting at. When white men have the privilege and power to perform or to express themselves and they get transcendence, and that's not called into question who they is and what they is, I think that should be a part of the equality people strive for, and not think about like white men have the ability to dominate their women in their community and I don't, then I'm unequal. I feel like a lot of the red pill, blue pill, manosphere, y'all worried about the LGBT community type dudes, y'all have a lot of consistencies to me that really lead to ignorance, or that be inconsistent. You be consistently inconsistent, which is crazy and wild to me. You see what I'm saying? Because if you feel like you should have the right to express your freedom and express how you want to do what you want to do, I don't understand why you feel like a feminine presenting, you feel me, man cannot do the same thing. Especially if you believe that the way that Hollywood views black men in dresses is how we all should view the way that men wear dresses. And again, I think that white supremacy got enough power. Has enough power, politically, socially, economically speaking. The way that Europeans are able to push their beauty standards, it happens enough. I think that it would be intellectually dishonest to not acknowledge that it was Europeans that demonized men of all colors, you feel me, of all ethnicities, wearing garbs that was outside of trousers and pants. And men that wore robes and skirts and linen cloths, they were seen as being easily dominated or colonized. I think that this might be a trauma response for a lot of us men, because we recognize that when Europeans came over and seen our ancestors not conforming to the way they said that we should be performing our manhood and masculinity, that it justified in their minds them being able to dominate us or them being able to civilize us. And maybe, just maybe, if I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, the reason why you believe it is bad for black boys to see particular symbols is because you believe they will internalize it and believe that that's a way for them to be dominated. I think that if you grew up in a hood in any way, shape, form, or fashion, you done seen boys that had to fight their entire life, beat the brakes off of somebody that thought that they were more smart, thought that they were more straight, thought they were more man, thought they was more gangster, because them boys grew up fighting. All my life I had to fight. And now you didn't try them because they got on a skirt, or because they got on some tight pants, or because they got on a dress, and you done got your ass whooped. Because you've underestimated the way in which they position in masculinity, and you thought that a person's masculinity is what they wear. You thought that a person's gender is what they wear. To me, it's just like very immature. As a matter of fact, when I was teaching 9th and 10th grade English at a high school, I believed that those young men would say a lot of the things y'all say on the internet, and then giving some of my former students benefit of the doubt, shit, half of them knew better to not make surface level, shallow claims about Hollywood and the black experience. Especially if we know the way that Hollywood tries to capture the black man specifically, it's never usually in light of black men. So when you try to over sensationalize niggas in dresses, it takes away, you know what I'm saying, it trades off with acting as if the way they pathologize niggas for being thugs or criminals or baby daddies or, you know what I'm saying, drug dealers, it's not also sending bad messages to little boys. If we in 2006, what's the bright line between wearing an extra large tall tee and wearing a dress or a skirt? When we seeing this dope ass football player that played for the Cleveland Browns rocking all this traditional African garbs and African attire, what is the bright line between them wearing they traditional shit here in America and America being like, yeah, that's for women? What's the bright line? What is the bright line of you being able to see any pharaoh that we celebrate in pro-black spaces wearing pants or trousers? Like is that what it is? If the colonizer and Dr. Umar says that men wearing pants blurs the line of femininity, that's what it means. So for me, it starts to become circular, because y'all say that gender and sexuality is very static and always tied to your genitalia. But then you want to make these very surface level claims about gender and genitalia based off of what you wear. So which one is it? Which one is it? Which one is it at this point? Is gender what I perform, or is it just what's in my pants? I think that a lot of y'all try to argue about sexuality and gender and you don't know the difference between the two. And as a result, you create a lot of rhetorical violence and rhetorical chaos that make it where folks misunderstand and or manipulate what the hell going on in front of them. Education is elevation, research over me search, and wear what you want to wear. Black men can wear pants. Black men can wear skirts. Black men can wear dresses, and they still should be respected as black men unless they tell you otherwise. Don't be lost in the sauce and trying to police what other people wear like the colonizer did your ancestor when they first touched down on the land they owned. A lot of us are literally replicating the logic of the colonizer and saying that if you don't conform to the way I believe you should conform, then you are unworthy of even existing. Damn near, it's like that's crazy. That's wild. If you don't conform to European standards, then you aren't human. That's crazy. That's wild. If you don't conform to European gender standards, then you are blurring the lines of femininity and masculinity. Hey, now where's the bright line? So if I don't have my pants on and I got the shirt on, this, that, and it's a mini skirt, is that a skirt? If it's right here to the thigh, if my shirt come down to the thigh and I got on some compression shorts, like what is the bright line between masculinity and femininity? And what is the bright line between how short a skirt is, or how baggy pants is, or how tight pants is, or how long a dress is? Because I want to acknowledge, most religious figures in religious spaces, especially the men, wear dresses, wear skirts. You saying that the extremely masculine men of the Islam religion that wears traditional Islam garb, they are blurring the lines between femininity and masculinity. You know, when we start talking about Islamophobia and anti-Arab sentiments, you feel me, and recognizing it's a lot of black folks that's Muslim as well. You see what I'm saying? You start to literally demonize how they show up and how they exist, because they ain't doing it the way the white man says, so they blurring the lines. It's like, that's crazy. Think about how many different Native American chiefs and warriors was busting white men asses. You see what I'm saying? And all type of different wars. French and Indian war, this war over here, that war over here, wearing what we would consider a skirt. Stop it. You smoking dope and dog food if you believe my gender is structured by what I'm wearing on. You feel me? Stop it. Stop it. Like this, let's stop thinking deeply about shallow shit, drowning in our own understanding, wasting our fish grease on small fish when we got bigger fish to fry. Like Nick Cannon said. So you think that it's more concerning that entertainers, 3% of the black population is wearing dresses in Hollywood, over the shit that everyday black folks are experiencing? But I'm sure y'all gonna debate about simping and pushing LGBTQ agendas and I know y'all gonna say it in the comment section. Conscious Lee is pushing the gay agenda. My masculinity is set up so player-like that I ain't gotta be worried or paranoid about no superficial boogeymans. My masculinity is under attack. It's not by no LGBT community or motherfuckers wearing dresses. You see what I'm saying? No folks passing policies, legislation, that's who's attacking my masculinity. You see what I'm saying? Not the motherfucker over there that just wanna be fabulous. 2 snaps.